Today I'm taking a look at what you get for 79 euros, which is roughly $100, actually slightly below $100. This is what you get for that money. Now, is it any good? So, what I've done is I've bought basically the cheapest new guitar that I could find. It's from a very well-known German online instrument sales business thingamajig, and the guitar in question is called Harley Benton. It's a Stratocaster, and well, first off, it looks just fine. I mean, the finish is okay, the neck joint looks okay. The fret ends, which are basically the first thing I check out on a cheap guitar, they feel quite nice. Nothing sticking out. The electronics look cheap, which is to be expected. But in general, it looks quite okay. Now, what I've done is that I bought this guitar, I think it was a month ago, and I unboxed it. Didn't do an unboxing video because I don't like unboxing videos, but here's a bit of unboxing for you. Hey, boxing backwards, that's unboxing or something, I don't know. Anyway, so I left it a couple of weeks, so I tuned it. When I took it out of the box, it was horribly out of tune, so I tuned it. And what I've noticed now is that the neck has bent a bit from the tension. So now I have a string action. String action is the distance between the fretboard and the string of 4 millimeters on the 12th fret, which is quite a lot. Even though I like quite high string action, this is maybe too much for me, at least with this guitar. So that's a negative side. The fretboard itself is also really funny because it feels like there's some kind of resistance. There's that kind of sound which I don't get with my other guitars, but if that's not a big problem for you, then that's okay. So those are the kind of first impressions. Now what I'll do is I'll try to set up the neck a bit better, and I'll open the back and see what's inside, and I'll connect it to my amp, and we'll just check out how it sounds. First off, I'm going to set the neck with this handy tool that was included. The included stuff was the whammy bar, which is good. You got a small cable, which I suspect is mostly rubbish, and you got a second tool for setting up some of the stuff over here. And yeah, but you get basically what you need with this guitar. Now, setting up the neck, if you're new to guitar playing, I'm not sure if I'd recommend you do that, but you can check out videos on YouTube how to do that. So I'll be right back after I've done that. Okay, so what you can see on the back side is you have the springs here, which pull up the whammy bar, and they're attached to this little metal plate here, which is screwed on with 2 screws. Now, I'll take a picture of this so you can see the metal plate has been screwed on, or they've drilled a hole for the second screw, which they haven't used, and then they've drilled another hole, which all kind of screams shoddy workmanship to me. Now, I decided against setting the neck up properly because I noticed a bit of buzz. That might be any number of issues. It might be that the neck is a bit crooked and you're getting fret buzz, but it doesn't really sound like that. I might be wrong, it might be that. A bit of a disclaimer, I'm not an expert on how to build guitars, I just play them. I know a few basics. It might also be the truss rod within the neck. That's the thing that pulls the neck the other way, because the strings pull the neck this way, so you need a counterforce, otherwise the wood of the neck would just be all over the place. I've had that with one guitar where I was mystified by rattle, and it was actually the truss rod in the neck. But basically, this is too much for me to be able to say. The frets look decent, so that's not a problem, but there is definitely a problem with buzz. Okay, so pretty much like I expected so far. Positives and negatives. So I'll just get it hooked up and see what it sounds like. Now, what I've found back when I used to work in an instrument store and otherwise as well, is that the cheaper the guitar, the bigger the quality variation can be. So you can have two identical instruments, like we did back when I worked at Soitinlainen here in Turku. We had two very cheap guitars, and one was absolutely rubbish and one was actually very good. The things that cheap guitars always have in common are the electronics, but the wood can be good or it can be bad. But when you get to the higher end of the spectrum, the differences in quality usually get smaller, although there are differences there as well. Now, let's see what this sounds like. Single coil pickups, that means there's going to be quite a bit of hum and extra noise. Okay, so with clean sounds, it sounds quite nice. Let's see what it sounds like with a bit of gain. That's the sound of a single coil pickup without a noise gate. So I have a noise gate so it doesn't get unbearable. Let's add a bit more gain for full metal thing. Okay, nice amount of pickup squeal there. Thing is, when you're practicing at home, you won't be playing this loud. Not that I'm playing terribly loud as it is, but if you're gonna be playing a gig and you have this guitar, you might be in for some trouble if you use a lot of gain. Doesn't that work? Okay, so it seems the tone pot is wired to the middle pickup. Yep. And the other tone pot is wired to that pickup. Okay, so $100, what you get, I don't know. Let's check one more thing, and that's how does it stay in tune. Because at least when I got my first guitar, all I wanted to do was use this thing, the whammy bar, which is great fun. The problem was it didn't stay in tune at all. Yeah, it didn't stay in tune too great now either. That's the problem with cheap guitars. You can get quite good stuff, but you can get really poor stuff as well. The only way to know is to get one and see how it works. Have it for a while and see what happens. This has some positives to it. I mean, back when I started, I remember checking out guitars quite often, new cheap guitars, stuff that I could afford. I never actually bought any of the stuff, but I remember what beginner guitars were like back then. First thing was that the fret ends were terrible. You could cut yourself, so you could actually bleed on the fret ends. The quality of the workmanship was terrible at times. This is partly okay, I think, but there's a dead giveaway that they've actually screwed the back plates here into a second hole. They've drilled one hole first and never used that and drilled a second hole, and it's a bit crooked, the whole back plates. And that's kind of, what are you doing? Yeah, personally, I'd always go for a second-hand cheap guitar than a new cheap guitar. Partly because you never know the quality of the wood. It might be actually still be even quite a bit wet. I remember buying 3 guitars by Washburn that were over $300, I think, or roughly $300. I bought 3 of them to a school I worked in, and within 2 months all of them had developed this nice little hump here, which meant that you can play them because the wood was still wet in each and every one of them, and that was a huge thing on all of those Washburn guitars back then. I remember that we had back here where I live, in Turku, in Finland. In all of those, that price range, Washburns that is. So they'd rushed production, and that can sometimes happen. So you don't know what you're getting until you try it and live with it for a while. If you want to go the safer route, I would actually recommend that you buy a second-hand guitar from somewhere. You can buy stuff from eBay, from people you can basically trust. Just check their seller rating, their seller feedback. If they've never had any feedback, don't buy. If their seller rating or their feedback rating is somewhere over 98%, you can just buy and not worry, because people are always going to complain regardless. So someone might have 99% approval rating and they'll be just fine. So I definitely go for older guitars, because then you know that the wood has dried. You can check out photos in advance and they might have returns policies and all that kind of stuff. You can go into second-hand shops and check out guitars. Especially with cheap guitars, I'd go with second-hand stuff, because prices drop and you can get a better guitar for the same price as you can get this. Because this second-hand won't be $100. It'll be much less. Now what I'm going to do with this guitar is I'm going to actually use it to learn how to scallop a neck, how to change the electronics and set up a guitar properly. But that's for another day. If you're starting out, I don't think the first thing you want is to have to set up a guitar again, because the setup on this isn't brilliant. Now, it doesn't play horribly, but I'm not sure if it's even good. Well, it's not good. I'm not even sure if it's decent. The thing is, you can get easily discouraged when you start playing, and if you have a poor instrument, that can discourage you, and I'm not too sure about this. But I have to say, it's a step up from when I was a kid and beginner guitars were absolutely horrible from time to time. But it doesn't stay in tune. Yeah, so what can I say? What you get for $100, you might luck out. This was 79 euros, which is roughly $100, just a bit under. What I got was basically what I paid for. If you're paying $100 for a guitar, you're probably not going to be lucky. You might, but probably not. I think personally it's worth the investment to invest a bit more in your first guitar. Simply because even if you just add $50, or if you double the price, which is a big increase for some people, you do get a lot better guitars. What I think you can save some money on is the amp, because there are some very good battery powered amps that go for quite cheap these days, especially if you get them second hand. You can get a Boss Katana Mini, you can get an NUX Mighty Light BT, which is fairly cheap, especially if you get it second hand, or my personal favorite, the Roland Microcube, which you can get for 50-ish bucks or euros second hand. Especially the old version is absolutely brilliant. So you don't need a $300 amp, you need a good guitar, because the guitar is the thing that you hold, and that's more important than the amp. At least that's my opinion. So that's what I got for $100. A good thing to practice my guitar repair skills, but maybe not my playing. So I'd say invest in a bit more quality. One last thing is, I recommend, if you're buying a guitar, even if it's your first guitar, go to a local instrument store if you have one, if it's at all possible, because those people will most often help you. Okay, I know some won't be very helpful, but over here, the ones that I do know, and I know a fair amount of them, have always been very helpful, and I've never met anyone who's tried to rip me off. So I think it really pays to go to your local instrument store, because that way you get to try stuff out. Anyway, that's all I have for you today. I hope you liked the video. Give it a thumbs up if you did. If you didn't, give it a thumbs down. And if you didn't, or if you did, please let me know why. So leave a comment. comment, let me know if you have any experiences with either good or poor beginner guitars or guitars in general, or if you have any other advice that I forgot to mention. And yeah, subscribe if you haven't already, hit that bell notification thing, and support me on Patreon so that you get honest reviews, because I buy the gear that I review so that I can tell you people what I actually think. Personally, I wouldn't recommend this guitar actually. I'd recommend something a bit more expensive and maybe saving on the amp, or buying a second-hand cheap guitar, because you could get more quality that way. Also, if you support me on Patreon, you get a bunch of exclusives like music and that kind of stuff. And if you like free music, there's a link below to my website where you can get said free music. Yay! Hooray for free music! Ah. Anyway, that's all I have for you today. I won't play on this because this is tuned like this. I could play some really poor campfire kumbaya type stuff. No, I won't. Hope to see you in another one. Take care. Goodbye.